Ahoy, everyone. This is David Perry. Again, talking to you about how various parts of the economy and parts of the country are going from the great pause, as I call it, into the great return. And today, I'm very pleased to be online with a friend and colleague, celebrity manager and producer from Hollywood, Wendy Wheaton. Wendy, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, David. It's great to see you.
Thank you. So, talk to me about how it's been for you during COVID. Talk to me about the day you really realized this was going to be a life-altering occurrence, and how have you been getting through the last 3-4 months?
Well, thanks. So it's interesting when you're an independent producer like myself. Your day-to-day is working with your partners and a smaller scale, and the bigger entities, the studios that have hundreds and thousands of workers really are impacted by COVID-19 and the whole shutdown. Independent producers like myself, we operate basically on our own finances and, project by project, and clearing things that often take a while. I mean, from, at least a year or more, with things in development, from creating and then pitching. So an independent producer, I kind of felt as though this is my day-to-day grind. I'm always pitching different things, but I really felt for, friends in the industry that are employed, that are actors, directors in the industry that work for bigger outlets and have much higher budgets that really are going to be, devastated by this.
So, when did you realize this was going to be as bad as it was going to be? I remember for Alfredo and me, Friday, March 13th, hard to forget Friday the 13th, that was the day when it really hit. We watched the president come out and talk, and even though he was saying it's going to be okay, I just had a feeling this is not going to be okay. But even myself, I thought, well, we're going to have a month, maybe 6 weeks of this, and here it is, the middle of July.
Right. No matter how much time, David, it was going to take, it was going to just kind of be a whole interruption to everyone's day-to-day life. And so for me, I think it was that Monday. Friday the 13th, yes, we realized, but the minute my little one couldn't go to school and they shut down the schools, which was March 16th, onward, I realized this was very serious, and didn't anticipate that it was going to be that long, but was always in flux. So even at that point, thinking a month, 6 weeks to 2 months of a shutdown was going to really just be horrible, and how could we all get through this? But we are going on month number 5 and then some, because this isn't going away. So the reality of everything getting shut down, I think, with friends, people I used to represent, or just actors, directors, producers, is that everyone, no matter what you do, were, affected and at home. Nobody, could go out. Nobody could go to work except for essential workers and people, but the courthouses were closed down. And so when it comes to the productions, I think this just affected everyone.
So how many productions or clients did you have that just stopped cold?
I probably had a couple that were out of state. So being in Hollywood, basically, there are a lot of things that film here, but more importantly, a lot of things film in other states and internationally. My productions right now weren't taking place internationally, and I'm still in pre-development phase, getting ready to sell and in negotiation on a few projects. So I was at that point that when I get ready to do production, we're still at least 6 months away for things that I've already been working on and shopping for 6 months to a year prior, and starting to get some traction. But for me, what ended up happening was a lot of the networks and the places, production companies that I pitch for my projects, that I attach celebrities, they were more accessible. So let's talk about the flip side of it.
Yeah.
The flip side being an independent producer for me, that I'm home, I'm knocking on doors, and it's okay, let's wait 6 weeks to 2 months to try to get into the network to get a meeting. Now all of a sudden, more people had time at home with their families, they were quarantined, and so I'd hit up a few people saying, hey, could we do a virtual pitch? They were like, sure, I don't have anything else to do. And I've gone through a couple of virtual pitches pitch meetings in the last 2 to 3 months where I have 3 projects that are getting greenlit. That's still a process between legal and documents before you can even announce what's going on. So for me as an independent, ironically, this became a little bit better because now I had access to people that weren't constantly in a rush and running around to different meetings.
You know, it's funny to say that dealing with journalists all the time. I have found that there have been some people that normally I could never get a face-to-face meeting with, but I've been in their living room or their kitchen.
Right. Everyone is home and they're really trying to be productive as much. I've been creating a lot of different series that definitely are at home kind of things and virtual online because that's just the way we're going with movie theaters being shut down. Everything, you name it. Productions just got the green light the middle of June 15th, at least in California and Hollywood. The mayor finally gave a green light for limited productions. And when I say limited productions, soap operas, The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, where, you know, the times, there are a lot of provisions and stipulations. The time filming had to be cut down, COVID checks every day, adhering to medical and health, you know, guidelines. So that even the productions, the limited ones, listen, Hollywood has shut down. 98% of productions are still shut down. From
98%.
98% across the country, 98%. The only one that I know that is kind of moving forward right now is somebody that I had the opportunity to interview and meet over my career, which is Michael Bay. Director Michael Bay. He actually has something that he's starting, but I'm sure the guidelines and, you know, the checks that have to be adhered to and filming fast. So I kind of found out that he is. Tyler Perry is another person that I realized, you know, has the means to be able to fly all of the actors for one of his productions to Atlanta, to his massive, you know, estate and production facility, and keep them housed there, and then getting checked every day, and just limiting, and flew them on his private jet.
So how will we get from 98% closed to 98% open?
We're going to go past 6 more months, honestly. We're looking at 2021. Any of the productions that were set for right now, they have already moved. Everything's affected, from Cannes Film Festival. All the festivals are going virtual, which I've tried a few and they're not bad. It's definitely not the same experience. But from NatP to some of the television and film, you know, showcases that happen for everybody to be able to mix and mingle, so to speak. They're doing virtual right now because people just can't sit back. So virtual, like we're doing right now, is a way that a lot of things are happening, even overload, but it's just the norm right now. The only other thing I could say is, you know, some of the other productions that, like Blackish with Anthony Anderson, you know, they have a very tight crew and a smaller staff kind of thing. So they're filming on some of the back lots, but the bigger productions, they've actually been moved. So some of the Netflix is doing quite well right now, as we know, because a lot of people are airing, you know, some of the past movies. And then some of the newer releases are going to, you know, some of the cable companies, and the movie theaters are closed, but they don't like that. They, you know, what's someone to do? You have to figure it out. For me, anything that I've done in the past in terms of a release that might be an older release, even 13 years ago, I have a title that is now people are looking for content. So again, for the independents, it's working well for me because I'm cutting deals left and right with Tubi and some of the international stations that really just need, you know, the things that I focus on in celebrity content. They're opening, there's just more opportunities right now. So I would suggest and encourage people, you know, to just continue to think of things in terms of their brands and the message and what it is that you're trying to get across, and you can still get your content on. There's more outlets nowadays other than just traditional cable television. You'd be surprised.
Now, just today, Governor Newsom announced that basically all of California for the next few weeks is kind of stepping back because of the rise in COVID cases. Leaving that aside, what is it like now in downtown Hollywood, or like where we last met for lunch down near the LA Live and whatnot? Is there a vibe still?
Um, Yes and no. I have not been. I've kept close quarters since I do have a little one, and staying and adhering to all. I'm a friend of the mayor's, and also Governor Newsom has done tremendous in the state. Even though we are spiking, and I don't understand it, I just think that a lot of people are, having issues of staying in the house. And I took a walk, near a lake that happens to be close to my house just for an hour, with mask and everything and social distancing. So, it's very hard right now, but he's doing the right thing, because we're going to look at having a shutdown, I believe, again. This is just out of control right now. And one of the other things that's interesting are the opportunities in terms of independent producer you were talking about, something that I haven't announced yet because I have to kind of tighten it up, but I have a whole initiative with a major celebrity we're rolling out regarding COVID testing for inner city communities. And it's huge. And it's a long term, it's what's necessary. So I think what people are doing, the celebrities that are out of work, the actors right now, they've all jumped in and contributed to the online, fundraising efforts for COVID-19. And I think those are tremendous, what everyone's doing, especially John Legend, you name it, Alicia Keys, all these people are coming together, but I think they're getting a little antsy. I've gone out and seen a few celebrities that are on these front lines doing protests and different things. So they're really appreciating family time and being close, but they're ready to get back to work.
Yeah. So you say about 6 months before it's fully back to normal, or before we start to get back to normal. When do you think things will begin to loosen up? I've added 2 months to my most rosy prediction. I thought in August we would begin to get back. I've been saying now that I think it won't be until October that we begin to get back.
Interestingly enough, so I really haven't thought about that too much, but generally in television, the summer months right before May sweeps, in June, that's when the industry shuts down anyway. And a lot of people are on vacation, the kids are out of school and families. We've already started that 3 months prior to, when it's supposed to happen. So now with all of this, I think schedules are going to be readjusted. People are just looking honestly between the window. We're around the corner from August already, if you think about it. That's 6 months when we started this. And it's getting worse. So then the fall, I think basically what's going to happen is we're going to kind of get through, if we're able to. It's still going to be virtual. We saw the BET Awards that came on, and it was a virtual show with all of the people doing things from at home. We're going to continue that, I believe, through the fall. Because the industry yet again would shut down for the holidays by November. I think we're just going to have to look at planning as much as we can. If people can manage to get filming in between probably September and October, they will take advantage of that. And then it's going to be the first of the year. So typically I would say, hopefully, fingers crossed, that going into, maybe February, that everybody would be safe to possibly resume back to normalcy.
Yeah, because it's hard to do a red carpet virtually.
Yeah, it's, again, I have to, my whole brand and everything I do, I'm going to bring the red carpet to you no matter what it is I'm doing. I might not physically be there, but for instance, I have something fun that I'm going to share with your viewers and mine, and some of these opportunities that things are shifting. I'm going to the drive-in. And so there's a big movie premiere happening next week that I got invited to, that I wouldn't typically think in my industry as a producer, red carpet kind of person, but they're doing like a premiere at a huge, and it's not the Rose Bowl, but a huge place that now this is going to be our norm. If it's not for social distancing, if it's not the movie theaters that are opening, they're going to get as many people into a big area for social distancing, like they're having the Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani concert coming up in August. Well, that's going to be, I think, at the Rose Bowl, and everybody can be in their car. So they're looking to do opportunities like that, and I'm all for it.
Right. So it may not be a red carpet. It may be kind of like American Graffiti, jazzed up cars driving down a way.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be hitting people up in the window with my mask on, and it's just what it is. How's everything going in terms of your town?
Well, I mean, we divide our time between here and Palm Springs, where we are now, kind of Little Hollywood, as we often call it.
Sure.
At least it was until COVID hit, and in San Francisco. But even though most of our work is still in San Francisco, we've only been there once since February. And it was a challenge because all of our meetings had to be outside. We couldn't go into a restaurant to meet or whatnot. So you deal with it. Here in Palm Springs, there's more space, but as you say, it is what it is. I'm very impressed with our leadership here in California and locally. Our mayor in Palm Springs, Jeff Kors, is amazing. Our mayor, friend of Alfredo's and mine, Mayor London Breed in San Francisco, she's fierce and fabulous, and was the first mayor, of course, to really see how important this was and do a lockdown that has saved many lives in San Francisco. The mortality rate in San Francisco is incredible. I like to say that they didn't flatten the curve, they squashed it. So we're all in, as someone said to me early on, we're not in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's very interesting. That's very interesting analogy that we're all in the same storm. And when from sports, I can't say that things are going to be the same, but listen, if they can try, these athletes are out in Florida and they're in the bubble, so they call it, and they don't like it. And so, hey, things could be worse. I mean, it has been worse. I hope that we don't get any worse than what we are right now. And people just really pay attention to what has to happen, because even when you're back, at work, you have to wear masks. This isn't going away. The social distancing, the testing, in between takes on sets, they still have to wear masks unless it's a scene that they have to take it off and still be tested and stuff like that. So, listen, it's life. We have to protect ourselves and other people, and this is basically what we have to do. But things, just be creative. What I say is, do what you have to do. You reach out to people. Social media, thank goodness it's here, and we still have a way to get our messages, our content, our stories out to people, and just continue to be creative and do what you need to do.
Great. Any closing thoughts, Wendy, before we go?
I think I just gave it to you, honestly.
Yeah.
With things that are happening, I know, we're trying to bring the initiative that we're getting ready to launch. We're trying to bring a lot of resources to people that might not typically have them. And it's not just about testing and, wear masks. I'm launching a series of campaign with PSAs with celebrities right now in terms of how it is important, especially in African-American communities. And doing different things like that. So yeah, those are my closing thoughts in terms of don't just think that this is going away. Make sure you keep your family safe, and keep a very good support right now. What's really important to me is mental health. I'm talking to a lot of people knowing that we're all getting cabin fever, and that is why there's a spike. People are very much getting antsy and wanting to go out. But you still have to be careful. So that's my closing message, is that we all are going to get through this and band together as Americans, and just kind of stay productive and safe.
Thank you. Well, you're a little one and you're better.
Thank you so much. And so good to always talk to you. And hopefully we get together again soon. It might be the end of the year, but it'll happen.
There you go. Ahoy.
Ahoy.